Right, moving on to central midfield. We've already picked our possible suggestions for DCM under Erik ten Hag. Bruno Fernandes, we're pretty much universally decided isn't going anywhere. He's going to be an important player for Manchester United this season and in the long term. But James, Paul Pogba's situation looks almost settled even before Erik ten Hag steps foot in Old Trafford, and how the midfield gets restructured will decide whether he's, quote, replaced or not. And you mentioned, going all the way back to Roy Keane earlier on, this idea of replacing Manchester United midfielders never works out well, never keeps the fans happy, and never really fits the balance of the team. So maybe the word replaced should be removed when it comes to Paul Pogba. Erik ten Hag, based on his Ajax days, he does opt for a flatter midfield three with a relatively shallow number 6 and 2 number 8s that don't press too hard. Primarily this season, United have gone for a 4-2-3-1, but their rivals, looking at Manchester City and Liverpool, have gone for a 4-1-2-3, this idea of a Fabinho or a Rodri with 2 8s. Now, if he wants to go and match that, if he wants to go and play Liverpool and City at their own game, that will decide which targets he goes for. So we're looking at a couple of options here that can play a slightly deeper role, a slightly flatter role, as an 8, as a 6. And two of the names that have flashed up are Yuri Tielemans and Jude Bellingham. Tielemans is a Swiss Army knife or a Belgian Army knife of a player. He can play as a double pivot, he can play as a right-sided number 8, and Jude Bellingham, you only have to watch him playing for Dortmund or England, he can pretty much do anything. His big strength is that ability to break lines with passes, 89.5% pass success rate, both for short and medium passes. The only player in the Bundesliga that's even close to him for pass successes and dribbles is Christopher Nkunku. And then you look at Tielemans at Leicester. He wants to move on. He said that he wants to play Champions League football. He's earned his Premier League stripes at Leicester. He might not be as glamorous a signing as other players, but he's a very experienced individual. And then someone like Bellingham has the potential to become a generational talent.
Well, Bellingham is United's dream signing. You know, that it's as simple as that. They would absolutely love him there. They wanted him when he left Birmingham. They put up a really strong pitch for him as well, even rolled out Fergie to try to convince him. And I think it kind of shows where United are at the moment, that in a very short space of time, both he and Erling Haaland ignored their advances and decided they'd be better off at Dortmund. That's worrying for United. They've got to change that trend, and they've got to change it quickly. But I mean, yes, for me, if I don't think they need to replace Pogba, because unfortunately Pogba just hasn't worked for them. So they certainly don't need to replace him. They need to get a consistent, effective midfielder in the team, which is something he just hasn't been. I think when he's at his best, I don't really think there's anyone like him, to be honest. Pogba, the way he carries the ball, he dribbles like a winger in the middle of the pitch. I think he's wonderful player, but you get that once every 4 or 5 games. It's nowhere near good enough, and it's been just emblematic of United's problems ever since he came, really. So I think Bellingham, yes, you go all out, you try to get him, but I just don't think he's going anywhere this summer. I don't see Dortmund letting him and Haaland go, and they don't need to.
Dortmund do one a year, don't they?
Yeah,
really?
so I think they've got
one a summer.
United will probably be well aware of that, and there's no point in wasting their time on lost causes, especially in such a crucial summer. I think something that really has helped United this summer is the fact that players actually want to leave, which hasn't been the case in the past. You know, if Jesse Lingard wanted to stay, there's a new contract there waiting for him. You know, if Pogba wanted to stay, they'd sign him up in an instant. Who knows? Maybe Mata would get a new deal as well. United just don't let players go because, heaven forbid, they lose out on that value. So they'd rather just pay them enormous sums to keep them not even playing. So that's a real benefit for them. And when it comes to, as we were talking before, signing the likes of Rice if they can, even at such a huge fee, you've got to look at the amount of money United are going to be saving on a week-to-week basis with the players that are going. Cavani, Pogba, Lingard, that's massive money every week. So that should make more money available. It should. Tielemans, I think, is an interesting one because he's been on United's radar in the past. He was someone they looked at previously. He's just a quality footballer. I don't know that he sets the pulses racing or would for United fans who would love to see Rice and Bellingham sign. Of course, we get that. But he's also just a very, very good player, and that's something United have lacked in midfield quite a lot. I think someone like Bruno Fernandes would really benefit from his diligence, his use of the ball. That might work very, very well.
Yeah, I think Bruno Tielemans is a good shout. Ruben Neves is another one that's been linked with United before. He could play 6 or 8, depending on what they get. But yeah, you can see the desperate need for someone in there now. But to me, all right, Tielemans is great, but he's more of a passer. He's more of a prober. Same thing with Ruben Neves, right? To me, you look at the profiles. You got to look at the profiles of the Ajax midfield and see that Ten Hag might want to try and recreate that style, right? So he had a 6 in Ajax and he had a 10. The 10 obviously is going to be Bruno Fernandes. It might or Donny van de Beek, who literally played that role for him at Ajax. So Bruno is the man. Donny's your more than capable backup, right? So you're set there. Number 6, I think you sign. I think Sangare, and then I think you could do with a backup as well. I don't know who that is. Number 8, your backup is McTominay. He's great at that. He's a box-to-box midfielder by nature. Anyway, you can coach him and teach him how to do other things. Fine. You need a starting 8. So for me, you got to look at the profile, and the profile you want to really replicate is a midfielder who can carry the ball, who can run with it, who can dribble, and who can create stuff in the final third, and who can even do a bit of defensive work. Ryan Gravenberch is the profile. He literally is the profile. He does it for Ajax right now. That's the role he plays. He plays under Ten Hag, and his contract expires in the next season, and he seems to not be going to renew, basically. So I think the word is he's going to leave this summer. They're going to sell him to get some value out of him. I mean, he's right there. Just tell Ten Hag is working with him every day. Say, Eric, just tell him to come to United. And you just make an offer. I don't think it's going to cost a lot of money. It's Ajax. Ajax always sell for reasonable fees. And he's got a contract expiring in a year. I think 25 million, 30 million, maybe 40 at a push. He'll be sorted. He'll get it done. And he's a really, really good midfielder. He can dribble. He can carry the ball. He gets involved into the box, takes shots on goal, creates pressure, has dribbles. So dribbling is the key, right? Because United don't have a lot of dribbling. And the best way to carry the ball up the field and to threaten opponents and hurt opponents that are sitting deep is to be able to dribble the ball, right? Like James said, when Pogba's on it, you can see the difference it makes when he carries the ball. When Sancho is on it, which we've seen this season, his difference is palpable. When Rashford was in form before his injury problems and before his mental issues, confidence issues, you could see when he could carry the ball, and it made a massive difference to United, right? United don't have any dribblers right now except for Sancho, and it's a huge problem. So Gravenberch could do that. But let's say because Gravenberch is also wanted by Bayern Munich. And again, as I said before, yeah, if you got to choose between Bayern and Man United, you're not picking Man United, realistically, right? But look at Giovanni Lo Celso as another option. I think is a good little shout. Not really set the world alight at Spurs, but we're seeing at Villarreal his true potential, right? Playing in a midfield, playing as an advanced midfielder. He can dribble. He can carry the ball. He can shoot. He gets involved in shots. Gets involved in shot creating chances. High numbers for expected assists. Not quite as high as Gravenberch, but still. And what he does that Gravenberch doesn't do is he loves to tackle. He loves to get stuck in and press and tackle. So he could fit very nicely into that Man United midfield. Should Ten Hag want to do it, and also he's left-footed, so he would add a bit of balance on the left. He could go out wide when Sancho comes in off the left or what have you. I don't know if Spurs would be willing to sell. Spurs are always tricky to sign from with United, but that's an option. Another one is Houssem Aouar, right, at Lyon. Phenomenal little midfielder, can do just, again, same thing, just a bit of everything: tackle, dribble, pass, shoot. The kind of all-round number you want. But ultimately, I mean, I'm saying Lo Celso, I'm saying Aouar, I'm saying Gravenberch is the literal profile you want. But James said it earlier. It's Declan Rice is the dream, right? This is, if you want a midfielder, number 8, a box-to-box midfielder, to someone that can carry the ball, run with the ball, someone that can defend, someone that can create chances, someone that can even maybe start threatening to score goals. It's Declan Rice. He's got that mythic, heroic figure, stature about him. He would be incredible. And then you have Ibrahim Sangare and Bruno Fernandes at the sharp ends of the midfield. And then you put in the middle of them, you put Declan Rice, who is a massive presence, and like James says, a massive statement signing. So if you're being tactical and being clever and being savvy about it, yeah, Lo Celso, Aouar, maybe even Gravenberch, being a bit clanny and clever about it. If you want to make a big statement, if you want to punch the Premier League in the mouth, say, look, we're Man United, we're back. You spend 150 million on Declan Rice. He's never worth 150 million in the traditional sense, because no one is worth that kind of money except the literal very best players in the world. But it's like James says, when you're successful, no one remembers how much you cost, right? No one talks about Mbappe costing PSG 160 million. Why? Because he's been amazing for them. People talk about Neymar costing 222 million because he's not been that great because he's been injured so much. Been great when he's fit, but he's been injured so much, right? People talk about Griezmann costing Barcelona 120 million, Coutinho costing 160 million, Gareth Bale, Eden Hazard costing whatever it was he cost, because 120 million, because they've been flops, they've been rubbish. No one really talks about Gareth Bale costing Real Madrid 100 million. Why? Because he's been amazing. Before he fell out with them, of course. Won them 3 Champions Leagues, right? He's been sensational. So I know they won 4, but he wasn't involved in 2017. So he won them 3, and he was a huge part of all 3 of those Champions League wins. So when a player is good enough, no one talks about the fee. No one talks about Rio Ferdinand costing United 30 million. No one talks about Michael Carrick costing United 18 million because they were massive. They were mega for that club. Declan Rice can be the same, and I fully endorse. Get yourself if you can do it. If there's money available to do it, do it. Pay whatever West Ham want and do it, because that kid is amazing. He's a mega star in a box-to-box midfield role. He will transform himself, transform United as a club, and it will put the league on notice.